So the special opens with Frank Castle inside a small apartment in a part of New York City called Little Sicily. The room has photos and maps pinned all over the wall, and almost every single face in those photos has a big red X drawn over it. Outside, an older homeless veteran is sitting on the street with his small dog Camo, just trying to eat a meal in peace. A group of local thugs attacks the old man, steals his military hat, and kills his dog right there in the street. A news report on the TV in the background tells us that crime in the neighborhood has been rising fast ever since a powerful gang called the Nucci crime family was taken down. What the reporter does not say, but what we very quickly understand, is that Frank is the one who took them down because the Nucci family had a hand in the murders of his wife and 2 children. Frank has spent years hunting down every single person connected to that crime, and he has now crossed off the last name on his list, the husband Benny, and all 3 sons Bobby, Eddie, and Carlo. They are all gone. So Frank has no target left, no mission, and nothing to chase. He swallows some pills, drinks some liquor, and sits in a room that no longer has a purpose. He keeps seeing people who are not there. One of those figures is his old friend Curtis Hoyle, a fellow veteran who was once one of the very few people Frank was close to. But the version of Curtis that keeps showing up does not come with comfort. He mocks Frank and keeps asking him the same question over and over. What is your purpose now, Marine? Frank has no answer. At one point Frank cuts into his own chest just to feel something real, and in that moment he quietly tells the hallucination that he thinks he needs help. He is at the lowest we have ever seen him. He packs up all his weapons and gear, locks everything inside a bag, places it in a cabinet, covers it with a military flag, and takes the key to his family's graves. He visits his wife Maria and his 2 children, and he stands at his daughter Lisa's grave, talking to her quietly, telling her how much he misses her and how hard it is to still be here when she is not. While he is standing there, he sees a hallucination of Lisa right in front of him, small and still the way he remembers her. She disappears before he can say anything, and Frank is left alone. He walks back into the neighborhood and the streets around him are rough. With the Nucci family gone, there is no one keeping the local criminals in line anymore. Shops are getting robbed, people are being attacked in the open. Frank stops for a coffee. The man behind the counter is Dre, and his young daughter Charlie waves at Frank with a big smile. He nods back at her. It is one of the only quiet moments in the whole special. Then something unexpected happens on his way back to the building. A woman in a wheelchair rolls up to him with a man standing beside her. She speaks to him softly, telling him her family was taken from her, that her husband and sons were killed, and that they did not deserve what happened to them. For just a second it sounds like she is trying to connect with someone who understands loss, but then it becomes clear exactly who she is. Her name is Ma Nucci, and she is the only surviving member of the Nucci crime family, the same family Frank wiped out. She is not there to grieve with him. She tells Frank she knows everything he did, and that she has put a bounty on his head. At exactly 6:47 in the evening, the same time Frank killed her youngest son, every criminal in Little Sicily will come into his building and go after him and anyone standing in their way. Frank goes back upstairs and another figure from his past appears, Karen Page, showing up as another hallucination. The version of Karen that appears does not go easy on him either. She tells him the idea of Frank as a family man was always just a mask, and that underneath it, he has always been exactly what he is. She also tells him there is still more for him to do. Frank sits alone with all of that running through his head, and then 6:47 arrives. Criminals start filling his building, every thug and lowlife in the area who wants to collect the bounty. One of them pours gasoline under the door of the apartment Frank is in and sets it on fire, and Frank kicks the door down and comes out swinging. He works his way through the entire building floor by floor, taking on everyone who comes at him, saving his neighbors in the process as people are getting attacked in their own hallways. He reaches the rooftop, looks down, and sees Ma Nucci and her bodyguard watching from the street below. Frank gets forced off the roof ledge and lands hard on a school bus parked below, then drops down to street level where more criminals are waiting. He fights through all of them. Then he sees 2 things at the same time: Ma Nucci being helped into her car just down the street, and Dre's coffee shop under attack with Charlie screaming inside. He turns away from Ma Nucci and runs straight toward the shop. He goes in and takes out every single person attacking the family. Dre, his wife Debbie, and Charlie are all saved. As Frank is about to leave, Charlie walks over to him and hands him a small paper flower she made herself. Frank takes it and walks out. He goes back to the cemetery and places the paper flower at Lisa's grave, talking to her again, telling her he just met someone who reminded him of her. Then he reaches down and picks up the key he left at Maria's grave at the start of the special, the key to the locked bag with all his weapons and gear inside. He has made his decision. Some time passes, and Frank is back on the streets of Little Sicily. Mickey is about to go after 2 people walking down the street. Frank steps in. He pins Mickey against a lamppost, takes back the old veteran's military hat that Mickey stole, and looks at him. Mickey tries to run. Frank throws a knife into his leg, stops him, and finishes it.